York Giants defeat the Chicago Bears 20-12 in a game which saw Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor leave the game due to injury. Daniel Jones appears to be an ankle injury, and Tyrod Taylor a concussion. So that's part of the story here. Saquon Barkley was unbelievable. The Giants' rushing attack was great, and that's really been a storyline. Really to start the season. The Giants have been able to run with great effectiveness. They rushed, how many yards? 262 yards rushing for the Giants. And Saquon's a big reason for that, but also Daniel Jones on the ground and Tyrod Taylor. For the brief time that Tyrod was in there, he was also doing a good job. And I think so much credit goes to Mike Kafka and Brian Daboll in really bringing the best out of what is a pretty weak offensive group. The offensive line individually, there's some, obviously Andrew Thomas is really very, very good. But you look at the wide receiver group, it's got to be the worst in football. It really has to be the worst wide receiver group in football. And yet the Giants are able, it's different. There's creativity and there's ways to make things happen, even when the personnel isn't top notch, not even close. So next week, you might be looking at Davis Webb as the starting quarterback. And you know what? As much as I don't love that prospect at all, especially against the Packers, it's going to be in London against a Packers team, which even though they're 3-1, they've shown cracks. They almost lost to a rookie quarterback today against the Patriots. They barely won in overtime, Green Bay. So Davis Webb, who showed well in preseason, obviously it's just preseason. But the point is that with a competent coaching staff, they can put players in a position to succeed and really rise above their deficiencies. And that's what I've noticed is that, because again, you look at it on paper and they really shouldn't be doing all that well. But again, the rushing attack has been so impressive. Daniel Jones, 6 carries, 68 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Saquon Barkley, 31 rushes, 146 yards. Saquon he looks better than he ever has. As far as I'm concerned, I think he looks better than he did as a rookie in 2018. I think he looks better. So Saquon was really, really good. And I thought Daniel Jones, when he was in there, was doing what he had to do, especially rushing the ball. But it's unfortunate that he gets hurt. And Jones came back into the game after Tyrod Taylor went out with a concussion out of necessity. And really, they were going wildcat with Saquon for the most part. Eventually, Daniel Jones was handing the ball off, but he never threw the ball. They didn't have to with what the score was, but look, I think with Daniel Jones, I think you might be looking at a little bit of an absence here. I don't think he'll be out long-term or anything like that, but you want to get Daniel Jones right because an asset of his game is his mobility. It's one of his biggest parts of his game. So, and I think with Tyrod Taylor, the concern there is with what happened to Tua with the Dolphins, you kind of figure the NFL is really going to tighten things up with concussions. So if there was any hope that Tyrod would come back, I really think that it would have to be really squeaky clean and he would really have to pass protocols with flying colors to have any chance to be cleared. So as we speak right now, I kind of think that Davis Webb is going to be your starting quarterback. Now, that might not happen, but that's just what my gut is telling me. And so that, again, that's a big part of what happened here. And there were a lot of injuries just in general. Evan Neal left the game due to a neck injury. Seems like he might be okay, but we don't really know enough yet. Aaron Robinson left the game, I think, with a lower body injury. Julian Love concussion. What else? There was a good amount of injuries. Not that it matters that much. Kenny Golladay, I believe, left with an injury. Again, Kenny Golladay is really nothing anyway, so don't want to make too big of a deal about that. There was a defensive lineman that also got hurt. I believe it was Henry Mondo. Yes. Yeah, he was carted off. A depth defensive lineman. But the point is, there was a good amount of injuries for the Giants. But players made big contributions. Dexter Lawrence was really good. A couple of sacks for Dexter, who has really kind of almost been an underrated player for the Giants. Drafted in 2019, the same year as Daniel Jones in the first round. And, I think that Lawrence, currently out of the healthy crew, he's really one of your best guys. Him and I guess maybe Xavier McKinney. and Adoree Jackson. It's funny, Adoree Jackson, I feel like, has almost been better, at tackling. He's gotten beat on a couple of plays the last few weeks. Darnell Mooney kind of got the best of Adoree. Tate Crowder, I thought, was kind of flying all over the field. Tate Crowder had a sack. He had 11 tackles. And so I thought Tate Crowder was pretty good today. Jalen Smith, the former Cowboy who, was with the Giants last year for a little bit, he took Austin Calitro's spot in the lineup. Calitro was inactive. And I thought Jalen Smith was pretty good in the run game. Micah McFadden took a pretty stupid penalty. We'll talk about that. The third down defense wasn't really very good early on. But, Thibodeau and Ojulari definitely better than last week. Ojulari had a sack. Thibodeau was kind of flying around. So, and also Fabian Moreau. Fabian Moreau has kind of found himself, in a spot where he's a legitimate top 2 or 3 corner on this team. I guess really the number 2. So I think Moreau, especially with Aaron Robinson having been out, it's possible that Moreau takes that spot opposite Adoree Jackson. But the Giants, defense did a really nice job. They didn't allow any touchdowns, and you felt good about that. The Giants' special teams have really struggled, but I mean, the good areas have been Graham Gano, although he did miss a field goal late, and then Jamie Gillen. Gillen really has a leg. He's a lot better than Raleigh Dixon. Gillen, the former Cleveland Brown, primarily. Gillen, factored in today. But again, the Giants 3-1. Can't complain with that. And the schedule will get a little bit tougher the next few weeks. But overall, I feel pretty good about the direction of the team. But the injuries are concerning. So let's get into the game. And the Bears are coming in at 2-1 as well. And for the Giants, slow start. They go 3 and out, and the defense didn't really look all that good either. So the first couple of series was definitely advantage Chicago. And, Justin Fields was running around a bit. He scrambled for a 16-yard gain. And just a really stupid play by Micah McFadden. After a Fields first down, unnecessary roughness on McFadden, which set up the Bears in pretty good position, but the Giants defense held strong, and the Bears only got a field goal. And then the Giants responded right away with a really nice drive. Daniel Bellinger, who really, in some ways, the last few weeks has really been their main receiver, not including, let's say, Saquon. I'd say Bellinger has kind of been their number one guy, which is pretty sad, but that's just what it is. So Bellinger gets involved in this drive. Saquon does some good things, and it ends up in a Daniel Jones 21-yard touchdown run. A really nice job by Jones. He had a lot of room, but showed some agility and was able to scamper down the sideline and score a touchdown. So the Giants take the lead there. Then again, the defensive struggles kind of continue a bit, where Darnell Mooney makes a 56-yard catch, and then you get a roughing the passer on Kayvon Thibodeau. So again, some dumb penalties today weren't great, where the Giants have been pretty buttoned up the first few weeks. I thought today a little bit of sloppiness in terms of the penalties, but the Giants, again, even more so here, 3rd and 3 at the 5. Bears do get a little bit conservative. They just run the ball. That's what they do. And Badgley connects on a short field goal. Then the Giants would punt, and this carries over into the second quarter. And the Bears would move down a little bit. Again, Fields, running around. And what was really frustrating, a 3rd and 20 conversion at midfield. Fields, with a little dump off to Khalil Herbert, and he turns it into a first down. But luckily, the next play, Ojulari sacks Fields, and Fields fumbles it, and a really nice job by Thibodeau to jump on the ball. Sometimes you see people, because it was one of those things where you really weren't sure at the time whether they were going to call it incomplete or a fumble, but Thibodeau continues on with the play, plays through the whistle, and sits on the ball. So something that you'd like to think most people would do, but a nice sort of under-the-radar play there. So, those two connecting on a Giant turnover. So that was good. And then the Giants offense continues to go strong. Saquon Barkley with a 29-yard run. Tanner Hudson getting involved with an 18-yard catch. And, eventually you end up with another Daniel Jones touchdown. An 8-yard run for Daniel Jones gives the Giants a 14-6 lead. Then the Bears would go 3 and out. and but unfortunately, Richie James with a fumble on the punt. So Richie James, not a good job there. Where the Giants at this point had a lot of momentum, and it kind of got, it was stunted at that moment. So now the Bears are really given good field position already, and on a 3rd and 10, it's a Justin Fields scramble for a first down. But the Giants would eventually hold tight, and Badgley hits a 40-yard field goal to make it 14-9. The Giants sort of less than 2 minutes in the first half malaise continues. David Sills, I think, was kind of frustrating on this. David Sills makes a 5-yard catch, but you kind of wish that he was quicker to maybe trying to get that first, a little bit slow with it. But again, to me, David Sills is nowhere near a starting NFL wide receiver. He's lucky to really be an NFL wide receiver at all. It's a great story. I keep on saying that, but the guys that the Giants are throwing out there, it's ugly. Anyway, we go to the half with the Giants up 14-9. Bears get the ball first to start the second half, and Darnell Mooney gets involved again, on an 18-yard reception. Khalil Herbert with some nice runs, and eventually it's a Badgley 35-yard field goal. So the Giants hold the lead 14-12. Then the Giants unfortunately have to punt. A good punt by Jamie Gillen. There was a Jason Pinnock, the former Jet, with a player out of bounds penalty. Again, bad special team stuff where the Giants the Bears would have started, I think, at around their own 20. Instead, with this penalty, they start at like the 40. So like a 20-yard difference there because of the Pinnock out of bounds penalty. But the Giants defense really does a really good job here. It's a 3-and-out, helped by a holding penalty by Cole Kmet on the first play. But, good job there. So the Giants, starting at their own 14, are able to really – Daniel Jones with a 19-yard run, and then a deep shot from Jones to Slayton. It's defensive pass interference. So it's nice to see Slayton get involved. I'm not the biggest Darius Slayton fan, but based on what you have out there, you might as well give him some run. And he's able to at least sort of get some separation a little bit, and wasn't able to come down with the catch, but that was in part because he was interfered with. And so Daniel Jones is sacked. And this is where he gets hurt. He didn't see the guy coming, kind of a bootleg attempt, and it was just kind of a head, one-on-one collision. And from there on, some Barkley runs, and the Giants are able to get a field goal. Graham Gano, 44-yard field goal, gives the Giants a 5-point lead. But at this point, Jones is hurt. But luckily, the Giants defense comes through again. They get a 3-and-out. Giants get the ball back, and Tyrod Taylor is in at this point and makes a couple of really nice. I guess one really nice play here, a 13-yard run by Taylor. But then the next play, he throws an interception intended for Slayton, a bomb pass. It's basically just as good as a punt. It was frustrating because it was on first down, but the Bears end up with the ball at their own 4. And the Giants make that work with a 3-and-out. So the Giants get the ball back up by 5. And at this point, we're in the fourth quarter at this point. When Tyrod Taylor came in was around the time of third to fourth quarter. So here, Taylor is able to scramble for a first. He's able to find Darius Slayton also. And where things get really messed up is Taylor on a 3rd and 7 is able to get the first down, but on the play, there's helmet-to-helmet contact. Taylor actually fumbles the ball, but it goes out of bounds. So that could have been really bad in terms of, a change of possession. But the Giants hold the ball, but Taylor's out. And so Jones has to come back in. And Daniel Jones, was certainly compromised. But the Giants get creative. Saquon Barkley was Wildcat for a while, and Matt Breida was the running back. 13-yard run for Breida. As a backup running back, he's been pretty good. He's pretty fast. And the Giants end up with a 43-yard field goal by Graham Gano. They got a little bit conservative, but you kind of understand why. And so the Giants go up 8 at this point with about 5:30 left of the game. The Bears very conservative where they run the ball on 3rd and 2, no gain. Nice play by Tate Crowder to tackle Khalil Herbert. And the Bears punt, but it kind of works out for the Bears. With the Giants, it's a good punt. The Giants had the ball at their own 3, and they go 3-and-out. And the key play to really seal things was Jamie Gillen with an amazing punt, 59-yard punt, and it's a muff by Jones of the Bears, and it's recovered by Gary Brightwell. So that was huge. An amazing punt, a fumble, Giants recover, and they get the ball at the Bear 37. It ends up in a Graham Gano missed field goal, with a 37-yard field goal miss. It's rare for Gano, but it's okay. So they're still up 8, and the Bears have the ball with no timeouts left at their own 27. And the last play of the game there's a lot of laterals, and the Bears kept it going for a while. It never got to the point where you were really concerned that anything was going to happen, but the Bears kept it alive for a long, long time. And eventually they would fumble and the Giants would recover and they would win the game 20-12. So, a nice job, to beat a team. The Giants are better than the Bears. They are. Certainly when you're the home team, and I know the Giants have had their home struggles recently, but in a game like this, the Giants, they should beat Justin Fields, and they did. And that's a good job. So, now we look ahead to week 5, and, the Giants go to London to take on the 3-1 Packers. It will not be easy, and it'll be even tougher because, of the quarterback situation. So that, to me, is sort of the big storyline right now, is what is the status of Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor, among other injuries too. But that's, quarterback's obviously where the spotlight is. So we'll see what happens. I hope that one of them is able to play. If not, you're looking at probably Davis Webb. But definitely a step up in competition against Aaron Rodgers. It won't be at Lambeau. It won't be at Green Bay. So you think, maybe, neutral site in London could give the Giants a little bit of a better chance to win. I would expect them to be competitive. The way the Giants have been this year, I think that they'll stay in it. But this is going to be a tough one, especially with the state of the health of this team is definitely getting a bit concerning. But you know what? Going to enjoy the win. The fact the Giants are 3-1 is not something that we have been able to say for a very long time. So hopefully the Giants can keep it up, and things overall from a franchise standpoint heading in the right direction. And I'm excited to see how they fare against the Green Bay Packers in London.